to Spirit, I surrender all. To Thee I freely give. I will ever love and trust in You. In Your presence I daily live. All to Spirit I surrender. Humbly at Your feet I bow. Worldly pleasures are all forsaken. Take me, Spirit, take me now. I surrender all. I surrender all. All to Thee, my blessed Spirit, I surrender all. Oh, and all to Spirit I surrender. All that's good is wholly mine. In Your presence, in this darkness, through You I am power divine. I surrender all. I surrender all. All to Thee, my blessed Spirit, I surrender. I surrender all. I surrender all. All to Thee, my blessed Spirit, I surrender all.
How many of you grew up with that song? How many of you just heard that song for the first time, even though you grew up with that song? That would be me. That's absolutely perfect for what I have to say today. So probably like me, when you were a kid at some point, maybe you stood at the bank of a pond and you practiced stone skipping. And, success in stone skipping is that you're able to refine your craft so that you can take that pebble and you can skim that baby all across the surface as fast as it will go so that it gets to the other side of the pond. And that's the win. That's the victory. That's the way that works out. And I think through a lot of trial and error, if you were like me, you got a little bit good at it. I never really made the stone go all the way to the other side of the pond, but it sank eventually. But I had a couple of good attempts. And so we without even realizing it, use or adopt that kind of model for the way in which we do our life. Because you see, we have become a world that equates skipping as fast as we can to get away from or to get to the other side of an issue or a problem. And then if we can do that on that surface level, then that's successful. We are not taught that true success is to walk to the bank of that pond and to take that pebble in our hand and to just drop it. And thus, by dropping it, what does it do into the body of water? It just sinks. It just sinks. It just goes right down to the muck and to the mire of the bed of that pond or that river or that lake or whatever that might be. And it is there that it is met with all of what we might call the unconscious or the unaddressed issues of ourselves. And so what we're doing is what? We're trying to do the other thing, which is, let me see how fast I can skim over the top of this so that I don't have to feel too much, that I don't have to deal too much. So, what's another word? Reel too much. In order to continue that momentum. So, because that's the norm. That's what's convenient. That's the way in which we're operating and seeing the world at its least finest over and over and over again. And I'm going to say this, and let me preface this by announcing that this is my personal opinion. None of my other colleagues have I ever heard say this directly the way that I'm going to say it. But I think there has been a mass misinterpretation of our philosophy as well. And in that mass misinterpretation, it has been adopted in this idea of skimming over things. Let me affirm something. Let me just, because in the Science of Mind, our founder Ernest Holmes says, turn away from the condition. And I wholeheartedly agree with what he said about turning away from the condition, which means do not dwell upon the condition. Do not dwell upon that which isn't working, but allow yourself to reacquaint yourself with the presence that is the divine, which is the energy, which is the divine order in and all things. And that's true. But the paradox of that is that turning away from the condition isn't sustainable unless you have developed the practice of dropping yourself into the pond, so that you become reacquainted with what we call our wounds, our core beliefs, those things which, whether we realize it or whether we have the wherewithal or the awareness of it, are the things that are actually running every single bit of every single choice that we do every single day. You see, I call them themes. You've heard me call them that and address them that for a while now. And it is these themes, when they go unaddressed, which infiltrate insidiously into the way in which they sabotage or negate the things that we say that we are wanting. Did you follow that? It's kind of like what Albert Einstein said, that the same thinking that created the problem is not going to be the same thinking that's going to bring about the solution. And we think that we have thunk a new thought. But what we've really done is we've just given mouth. We've just given words to something because from an instructional standpoint. And we're thinking and hoping that that's going to be enough. That's like skimming the stone across the surface. The depth part is realizing that words in and of themselves are not enough. Affirmations in and of themselves are not enough. That's why we get so angry when they don't work. That's when we point at the teacher and go, this stuff doesn't work. Because what we haven't addressed is the ability to go, why? Why is this repeatedly happening to me? Not repeatedly happening at me. Maybe a better question is, why is this repeatedly happening for me? So that as I begin to have that inner inquirer within me and give it life and breath and permission, I'm allowing myself then to go inside and to uncover these themes. And then and only then, my friend, do I believe that the real shift and the real change that is necessary, that is the thing that our soul's assignment is calling us to do, can it finally be adhered to, addressed, and given life back to. I used to teach sometimes in my classes that the shift in consciousness or our perceptions is much like the revolving door at Macy's. Any of you ever been to Macy's in New York? You know, there's that big old funky revolving door on 34th Street, and you have to push that thing in. But what do you have to do? There's action involved. There's a participation involved. The door in and of itself is neutral. It requires some activity on our part. So in those quadrants of that revolving door, if I just step into the door and then I don't do anything, and let's say I'm in the quadrant that looks at 34th Street, and I go, they said that Macy's was here. I don't really see it. I don't know. And I'm just standing in the quadrant, and I'm thinking, there's no Macy's here. Without realizing that it's my responsibility to turn the revolve. And look, there's Macy's over here. They look like Macy's, don't they? And it's the same thing with everything that we say that we want. I stand in the quadrant and I go and I say my affirmation for wholeness. But then in the action of that, I don't do anything to treat and move my feet with regards to having the experience of wholeness. I say that I want to be more at peace. And so I do my peace affirmation. And I still hold that grudge, and I don't turn the revolving door. And so peace then continues to elude me. And so words are not enough. Intellect is not enough. And so yes, we pray, yes, we affirm, and we do something. And that is the deeper calling, the deepening of our discipline and what is required for us. And so I was in New York City last week, and I made a big mistake. I did my revisioning work, which you've heard me speak on with some regularity lately. And I made the mistake of doing the revisioning work in a time frame of like 2.5 hours with New Yorkers. And so, you know, I did it in 4 weeks in a class here, and we just ended this last week. So I thought, I'm just going to do this work in this workshop, you know, in 2.5 hours. And New Yorkers, they'll go there. Right, New Yorkers? You'll go there very fast. And so one of them is raising their hand. Why are you making us do this? Why are you making us drudge up all of this stuff? And I said, number one, I'm not making you do anything. I didn't make you come to this workshop. You chose to come to this workshop. When I gave you the instructions about revisioning, about let's go back to something in our past and let's revision this. Let's find value. Let's understand you can't change the character or the free will of another individual. But you and you alone begin to resolve the way in which you responded in that particular thing. Why are you making us do this? What value does it have in going back to the pain? I said, because the pain is still with you. Because that's the thing that is skimming across the surface that we keep running from, but we keep taking it with us. And it isn't until we go there and we revision or resolve or heal or whatever word you want to apply to the process that we really begin to understand the depth of what this teaching is about. And so they got it, and they began to break off into their dyads, except for one person in the back of the auditorium. And it was a woman, and she was going. And I went. So while they're off, because she wouldn't partner with anybody. And she said, you mean to tell me that this thing, I'm supposed to find value in this? And I said, yeah, that's the exercise. And let me just say that, and we all do this, we all think that our pain is special. That's my most unpopular topic at conferences. Your pain is not special. No, let's not do that one. Because what happens is, it's like when the Course in Miracles talks about the special relationship, it's that thing whereby we isolate ourselves from the rest of humanity because we think that our issue, our problem, our trauma is far greater than anyone else's and unmatched by anybody else's experience. And what we come to realize, if we're willing to drop ourselves and submerge ourselves into that we are in a big, long line with a lot of other people. And so I said, tell me what's going on. And she said, well, and she began this story that she was 10. The father left her mother and her 2 sisters in an abandoned building in the winter in one of the boroughs of Queens, somewhere around Queens, and just left them, abandoned them completely. And just saying it to me was enough to just make her get all emotional and to get jittery again. And I said, okay. And I said, how old are you? She said, I'm 62. And I said, let me ask you a question. I'm just curious. How long have you been in some kind of New Thought teaching? 18 years. It's not a judgment. This is something so sobering and so real and so widespread that I'm seeing that just coming and attending and doing these kinds of things does not do it. That it is a requirement upon the individual to be willing. And I said, 18 years. And I said, and so what within those 18 years helped you, supported you? And we kind of chit-chatted a little bit, but basically she said, it's too late for me. That was the first thing she said. It's too late for me. I'm 62. I'm like, wow, I'm almost there. And I said, so how did you get from 10 years old to 62? And she told me about how her mother called her stupid and how, worthless. And I get it. I could get that a mother who was left in that predicament would be a little angry. And I said, and she told me about going back and getting a GED. And I said, well, what in that forced you to go back? If you're being told that you're stupid, what was it that made you go back and get a GED? And she said, well, I just hoped that. And I says, there's the word, hope. So in spite of what happened, in spite of what your father did to you, you still had hope. And so the value in that particular memory is that the fact that regardless of the enormity of what life throws at you, it still does not extinguish your hope. And I said, have you ever given yourself credit for that? And she said, I've never really thought about it. I said, hope is the thing that has given you breath and permission to be able to get to this stage in your life. Hope is the thing that made you continue to show up in this philosophy for 18 years in order that there might be something that would lift you out of the pain and the suffering that you are feeling. I said, are you ready to move from just being in hope? And she looked at me and she says, I hope that's possible. And I said, well, to the degree that we create that investment in knowing. Even our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, hope is fine, but it's not enough. He even said belief is not enough. That it is our requirement as evolved souls to get to a place of knowing. And I said, how can you and I move into a place of knowing with regards to the fact that you are far more than you give yourself credit for? And I said, and the value of going back and seeing that and revisioning that and honoring that 10-year-old girl who was unwilling to let hope be extinguished from her life. Do you get how powerful you are? And she looked at me as if I was crazy because no one had ever talked to her that way. And in trying to wrap it up in the time frame that we had, it brought home to me story after story after story of all of these people about the fact that we are surface skipping people. And what we are called to be is that relinquishes, that song, oh my God, I surrender all. Can you imagine standing metaphorically at the edge of the pond and just surrendering all of your themes, not just the ones that you're most aggravated with, but all of your themes, the ones that say, no, I'm not going to forgive them because I'm right. I'm righteous in my anger. So in the righteousness of my anger and holding that theme of separation, no, I'm not going to surrender the all of that one. But this like struggle with money, yeah, I'll surrender that one. But I'm not willing to surrender all of it, realizing that it's the totality of the all that is the outpicturing of every single thing. It's all one. To the degree that I withhold my forgiveness equates itself to the degree in which I'm willing to receive the good that the universe is trying to give to me. So my donation or my tithe is meaningless if I'm still angry and bitter. And so the deeper dive of our discipline is calling for us to understand and know the totality of this work and to not run away from it. So I met with someone this week, and she's an incredible businesswoman, and we've been doing some trading together and spiritual work and coaching and stuff, and she told me a term that I had never heard before. And she called it an assumptions audit. For those of you who are in business, maybe you've done this before in your company. But these are companies when they find themselves in an issue or a repetitive thing where they call in an expert. And the expert comes in and he begins to speak with not just upper management, but also with the lowest of the low on the totem pole of the employee. And he asks them a series of questions in order to gather this data so that he can begin to, or she can begin to look at all of the assumptions that are going on within the mindset of the people in this company. Because it is our collective assumptions then that breed our manifestations. And so then to have an assumptions audit is where everybody, it's all laid out and go, this is what you're thinking and this is what you're saying. And so therefore, this is what continues to happen. So things like, well, this is how we operate. Or we'll never get a buy-in. We're doing everything right, but not getting the results that we expect. The customers don't seem to understand what it is that we have to offer. It's a tough market. We just can't seem to break through all of the multiplicity of things that are coming through. Those are all what? Assumptions. That's the stuff then that's at the bottom of the pond. And if we then, let's say we're a company, if we then aren't willing to go to the bottom of the pond, so what do we try to do? How do we make it quicker, faster, better, bigger, blah, blah, blah. And so we want to skip over the pond. And guess what? We never really address the problem. And I looked at her and I said, oh my God, this is science of mind. This is incredible. What if we as individuals did assumptions audits? What if I called them that? That's a new name. It's the same thing we're teaching, but let's put a new name on it. Let's make it shinier. Maybe then we'll take it seriously. Maybe then we'll have a theme audit. And we will go in and we will see all of those things where I believe I don't have enough time. That's a theme. Look at the person next to you. They share that theme. Say, nice to share this theme with you. Don't have enough time. Don't have enough time. Isn't it funny? We say, time is an illusion. I don't have enough of that illusion. That's a theme. The holidays are always traumatic for me. It's a theme. People are unreliable. It's a theme. I'm too old. That's your theme. That's not my theme. And you see, they're universal. The person sitting right next to you is sharing the exact same themes that you have. You might word them a little differently. The circumstances that gave birth to them might be different geographically, and the names might be different, but it's the same thing. And until we are willing to have an audit on those themes, then I don't care what resolution list you have created for next year. We're going to be having this same conversation. December of 2016. So let me take full responsibility then for the theme at SLCA, because we didn't meet our goal. And when I really looked at that, I already knew. And what I knew is that I'm out of integrity. And I say I because I have to stand in the spot of leadership. And so the irony is that we're always asking and asking and asking to support us. This is like a business. We have to ask in order for us to be able to continue to do the work that we do. And yet we are not giving at the level that we're asking. And the reasoning behind all of that and the business crunch numbering of that is that we don't have it to give. But that's not the way in which the law works. You give and then more comes. And so here I am standing, or any other teacher is standing and saying, well, you have to give in order to experience. And yet we, as an institution, are not doing that at the level that we should be doing it, or at the level that we are asking other people to do it. And you see, when you're out of integrity, the law is a beautiful thing. It says, I will meet you at the level of your integrity. And so we didn't meet our goal. And we get to look at that. And we get to, when she used that term, an assumptions audit, I thought, oh my God. I started to reflect on all of the conversations from everybody within any church movement. All of the articles that are being emailed ad nauseum to one another about the church is dying. Church of the 21st century as you know it is over. And that, and there's truth in those things, because statistically, as they show, the old model of church, that's why we call ourselves a center, doesn't work with the new mindset. And as not just the millennials, but then the generation behind them and the generation behind them, if we don't advance and evolve with the times, there will be nothing, because the people will not have desired that. You know, and then I read that more than 4,000 Buddhist monasteries throughout China have closed because Buddhism and the younger generation, they're not embracing it the way that the elders did, and people are not willing to become monks anymore. And you start to look at this widespread and you just go, oh my. But what I understand is what you're having right now, which is the shoulder-to-shoulder experience, some reason that got you out of bed and made you get dressed and made you come and sit in this room. What is that about? Because it's not about church. It's about, I need to be near somebody. I need to be somewhere in a space where where even if I'm skipping across my pond as fast as I can, maybe I can stop for just a few seconds. And I can sit next to somebody and maybe I'll get something. Because I don't think I'm doing it right. And that's what's going on for all of us. When we were really honest in our assumptions, we would go, I'm not doing this right. If I was doing this right, my manifestations would be off the chain. So I must not be doing this right. And that's painful. That's painful. And if we're not willing to address the pain, then guess what we'll be doing next year at this time in December, sitting here again? It's the season of light. Bring your pain. Let's come and let's do this. And so what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, I will tell you what my advocacy to the board will be is that we've already decided this because we've had this conversation, but we must give more. We will give more. And we will just see what happens. But with regards to us individually, what will we do in order to move into a greater sense of accountability? And so here's my idea for next year. We're going to have accountability partners. And if you want to participate, come January, we're going to have a way where you can sign up and you're going to be matched with somebody. And we're going to hold each other accountable to not just skipping over life as fast as we can, not just running away from the issue, but diving deep and sinking to the very vulnerable place where we can actually hear what it is that Spirit is asking us to do. And so, we don't have to wait. You can do that right now. You can surrender all. In fact, you know what? It's the only thing that you and I are required and asked to do. And the way that I've come to understand the still small voice of the universe is that if I don't do it, it's still going to be after me to do it. So close your eyes. If you are brave and willing, grab the hand of the person next to you. Just see if you can even begin to sense the energy in the hand of that you're holding. We like to say that's another life, but in reality, it's you. And just for this brief moment, I'm going to do what it is that we do best. And I'm going to do an affirmative prayer that is in first person. What that means is that when I speak it from the I, I'm speaking it from the energy that is interconnected in this room. So it's not I as in me, but it's I as in the collective, the macrocosm of all of us. And I speak this word and I say, I am enough. I am enough because I was born into the enoughness. I was born into the all. I was born to be a part of the extension and the vessel and the voice of that which I call God. I am here for a divine reason. I have so much opportunity ahead of me. My opportunity knows nothing of age, and my opportunity knows nothing of history. My opportunity simply waits for the breath of personal permission. And so in this moment now, I say yes to just surrendering all into the deep, into the depth, into the memory, and realizing that every single thing that has happened in my life, every single thing, has brought me to this moment in time. And so there is value there. And I get to go with the immense gift of my imagination, and I get to revision the themes that I have adopted for myself. And in this moment now, I breathe the breath of the deeply inspired. I walk the path of the person of power. I live in the flow of the most prosperous, unlimited creation. I express from the expansiveness of creativity that knows no limitation and hears only the applause of a favoring universe. I am all of this. I apologize to myself for having shortchanged myself of my immense power and opportunity up until this moment in time. And it is my sincere vow in this very moment to now move forward with the complete understanding that I've had it all along and that I am the one that I have been waiting for. In complete and total acceptance of this, I collectively breathe with the ones to my right and to my left. And I squeeze their hands so hard and I say, I know this for you. I know this for myself. And together we say, and so it is. So tomorrow is my wedding anniversary. And Ty and I have been together for 5 years and been married for 2 as of tomorrow. And he's put up with me all of these years in the fact that when we go somewhere, I always work. It becomes a work trip. So you may have seen us in New York last week, but I was working. And so we're leaving after service today. Because we never took a honeymoon, and we were getting on a boat in the morning, and for 3 days I have no access to email. So, happy anniversary. Although I hear the cruise ships have increased their Wi-Fi capacity. But I make a vow. I'll see you next week. All right. So what you have done so incredibly beautifully, and what this is a testament to, is the fact that you are willing to love and honor the staff. These envelopes, and next week will be the last week, the money that you have given to the staff for their year-end bonus, and I'm privileged to be able to give to them, doesn't come from me, it comes from you. And so if you have gained value from David Aurelio or Nathan or Penelope or Robert or the teachers who teach in our youth department, they're all the ones who benefit from your gift. So in addition to your tithes and offerings, if you feel led and want to do this, this goes in this envelope and then it goes directly to them. The rest is for SLCA. And as you gather and prepare those, if you will read our affirmation together. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
Please welcome back Levi Christ.
I want you guys to take a couple minutes and just feel the excitement that awaits you when you decide to dive deep, do the work, and live the results. There's an unspeakable joy that awaits us in the process, and that's what this song is about. Closing in, finding out the way it's gonna happen, watching the players step in time, beholding the unfolding earth divine. You see, I know it's gonna make you catch your breath when you see yourself the way it's meant to happen. I'm too enamored to exhale. Oh, 'cause synchronicity is lifting the veil, and the only thing that my soul can do is to lift all of my hands, and I know it's you and you and you and you and you. That's why I say I'm not afraid. Let it rain, let it pour. This is what we came here for. I'm not afraid. Let it rain, let it pour. This is what I came here for. I can tell you a lot of stories about how I've come so far, but you can see the distance over the horizon. Sometimes I felt like I was standing still, and I was caught between what I think and what I feel. But now that only thing that my soul can do, oh, is to lift. I wanna see you lift your hands, 'cause I know it's you. That's why we say it. I'm not afraid. Let me hear you now. Let it rain, let it pour. This is what we came here for. I'm not afraid. Let it rain, let it pour. This is what we came here for. Do is to lift your hands and you know that everything you need is right there inside of you. And that's why we say it. We're not afraid. Let it rain, let it pour, 'cause this is what I came here for. I'm not afraid. No, 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 no. Let it rain, let it pour. This is what you came here for. Do you know it's what you came here for? Do you know it's what you came here for? Oh, hey. Let it rain, let it pour. This is what you came here for.
Levi, cry!
Hi, I'm David Ault, and I simply want to say thanks. Thanks for taking the time to watch our broadcast here at Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We have a vision, and that vision is to reawaken all to their spiritual magnificence. And one of the ways that we are able to do that is through this very medium of broadcasting. So if you got anything out of this, if you felt in any way inspired, or if something spoke to you directly, then I extend an invitation to you to become a part of our family by donating. And there are many ways in order for you to be able to do that. One is to simply go to our website at slca.com, and there you will find all different kinds of prompts that will help you support what it is that we are doing here in Atlanta. One way is to become a pledger. That means that you decide on a monthly basis that you are going to help us with this vision. Another way is to donate through our management system called Fellowship One, another through PayPal, and another even easier way is on your cell phone. You can do what's called text to tithe, and that number is 404-796-7030. Again, thank you so much for your support, and I invite you to come back weekly to see what it is that we're up to. Blessings.